It's surprising what you can find in your kitchen to make beautiful nails. Yes, that's aluminum foil, and not just to create the shape, but it's actually shaping the nails. Let's get started. So we're just going to decorate them together. I'm going to build the one, but we'll end up decorating and doing the top coat, which is going to bring this alive, which Karen, you'll like that. That's your favorite part, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. You bet.
So I'm going to get my medium file and I'm going to buff the surface of this nail. If it's a natural nail, make sure you use the medium file. This is the time where you can push your cuticles back and stuff like that. I've already done that. I do that quite often because I do my nails so often. So I'm just making sure that I'm filing that surface, getting rid of all the shine and the oils that a natural nail can produce. Sometimes I will leave a thin layer of acrylic on there just to protect my natural nail because I am replacing them literally. Sometimes I do them every few days, right? Okay, when that guy's ready, I'm just going to take off all the dust. Generally, fake nails don't like dust. Don't keep the dust around. Then I'm going to use my Let's Prep. And just so you don't get confused, I put on the bottle, apply before it lets bond. Prep and prime go together. One is a dehydrator, a cleanser, a pH balancer for that natural nail. And the next step is the crucial step. It's Let's Bond. It's a primer. And I actually put on the bottle, apply one coat after Let's Prep so you don't get them confused. You really don't want to get them confused. If you confuse them, what you're doing is you're putting the primer on first. And if you put the bonder on, which is supposed to go on first, it will cleanse it. So you put the primer on to make adhesion for the fake nail that's going to be going on top. And if you put the dehydrator on next, it's going to cleanse it. It's going to remove it, basically. It's going to cancel it out. So the primer's got to go in last. If you forget either of them, let it be the dehydrator. Okay. So I'm going to use my Suzie clean acrylic here, and this is the facet. I'm just going to pour a little bit in my dish. I'm only doing one nail, so I don't need a lot at all. The other ones might look like kind of a mess right now, and it kind of does because they're halfway finished, right?
I don't think it looks messy.
Oh, I think it does.
Oh, it looks good.
I hate it when it comes down like cut off like that. Like the green will make more sense, but right now it looks a little discombobulated. Okay, so right now is where you need the tin foil. We're going to inlay this, but it is much thicker than most things that you're going to inlay with. Like if you're using a Mylar or little pieces of, you know, those phyllo things I think you cut up and you could put, depending on how thick you cut them. But they're thicker than most things, even though tin foil seems kind of thin, but it is kind of thick. I like my nails on the thinner side. I don't like them to be bulky and thick. So tin foil can bulk it out. So you got to be kind of careful with this. So I've already crinkled it. I've taken the nice smooth piece and I have crinkled it and brought it back out, right? That's all that I've done with this. It's very satisfying. I like that. It's like, you know, popping the shipping bubbles. That's a noise nightmare for you, isn't it, Karen?
It is.
Okay, so I've got my little piece here. And you don't want it too small of crinkles because you do want the crinkle sides of it to be seen. So making it too small will make it too small. So I'm leaving it a bit bigger. I learned that as I go. When I do different designs that I haven't done a lot of experience with, I will do one at a time. Literally build it out, sculpt it, top coat it and everything to sort of learn what I like or I don't like from that one nail before I go ahead and do that mistake, if I'm having mistakes in it, on all of them. So I use them as a learning platform. So I did the thumb first because it's the bigger one and you can really see it. Then I went to the pinky and I sort of learned as I went what I like. And if I make it too crinkly, I didn't really like that as much as when I left it a little bit. But what I did learn was it's a little harder to bend. So take it on your nail and or a tip if you don't have your nail already built out and sort of shape it across, like just kind of bend that tin foil because it has a memory, right? Once you put it there, it's shaped in that direction. But it's harder to squish it and do this on the nail when the nail, you want it to be a bit wet. You want the acrylic to be a bit wet still, not fully cured. You want to take advantage of it. So bend it on your nail first, because when you're pressing on a nail that's trying to cure, you're going to misshape the base of the nail, if that makes sense. It'll make more sense as I do it. So if you are doing the first nail and you haven't got a nails build, do it on a tip, like just a fake tip. Sort of bend it in. And then what I did was I took my little shape, I cut it off straight here because I'm going to create this line here. And then what I did was I cut the end. Oh, make sure it's as long as what you want. You don't want it to be too short. So what I did was I cut it down this way because it's so stiff, because it's a little bit thicker. It gives it a little bit more shape. So just cut it, and it's okay because you won't really see it. And if you're worried of a straight line, cut a little bit on a zigzag line. It just helps the foil bend around your finger when you're laying it into the acrylic, because we want it to stick inside the acrylic. Okay, so our little tin foil guy is ready to go. So I'm going to get a form, and I'm going to form up the nail. Okay. Now I know I say this every time, but forms are really an art within itself. So I'm going to put this form on. I'm going to make it look rather easy, but if you're new to forms, you'll know that it's not easy. But once you get it, it makes it very much easier every time you form a finger. If you're forming yourself all the time, and once you get one person down, and if you're only doing yourself, that's great. But if you're doing many different, like if you're doing a clientele, you'll see that once you nail it, a new shape comes in and you're like, how do I do that one? It's all the same premise. It's just a little different, trying to get it into different shapes. Okay, now these are going to be squares, you see, but I'm still going to pinch the end because this is an inlay. And the outside layer, the outside capping, will be the thickest point, but you don't want it to be as thick as the form. So you want to squish the form a little bit on the inside, because that's where all the inner workings of the design is going to be tucked in, where the clear cap is going to be the bigger part over top. So it's got to be squished in a little. So make sure you cover the aluminum foil completely, because you don't want to file the aluminum foil directly. Now, we want to be able to put the acrylic on, and we want to put the little tinfoil pre-shaped guy on right away-ish, because as the acrylic is drying, we want that tinfoil to stick to it. I'm just doing the clear cap. You can do any color you want at this point. We don't want to do it too thin because we want the tinfoil to stick into it. We want it to settle, nestle in there, and grab hold. So I'm going to do a pretty good size bead, to be honest with you. This is fast setting, so I don't need to sit it in there for the 5 or 6 seconds that I might do for the odorless. I don't want it to be too thick. I'm going to attach it to the free edge right at the end of the nail there, because I definitely want it to stick to my finger. And I'm going to walk the product all the way down to the end of this form pretty much. And you can go longer and then just cut it off at the end. It's no matter. It's always better to go longer than make it too short, because if you're too short, adding in this kind of design is not going to be to your advantage. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take my little tin foil guy on here, and I am going to just press it on just as that product is curing. I'm going to hold the tin foil down, aluminum foil. We here in Canada, we call it tin foil, don't we, Cameron?
Yeah, both, but I think
we call it both,
is
but
most popular.
I mostly know it as tin foil. Mm-hmm. But I think our American friends call it aluminum foil, right?
And I think our British friends would call it aluminium
foil.
I think so.
I should start calling it that. It's got a little bit of an accent, and I like that. Oh, see how it's my little split there? That's helping me bend it, but I don't want to see that little split, so I'm just going to coax it to go back together. And you don't have to cut it. That's just a little thing that I learned that might help as far, just as advice to try to make sure that it's a little happier for you to just bend a little bit easier. Totally your call. Okay, so I'm really happy with that. It went in really nice. Pre-shaping it really does help, I will be honest with you. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm happy. So while that is kind of drying into the acrylic, it's about maybe 60 to 90 seconds before it's fully cured. I'm going to add a little bit of spice, you might say, to it. And I'm just going to add tiny little flakes of Mylar. Not a ton, just enough to give it that when you turn it, you can see it a little bit in here, even though it doesn't have any top coat on it yet, but you will see, my goodness, at the end of this video, we're going to be in heaven because those are going to pop. And the tinfoil is really going to reflect that Mylar. So you can see the difference between the color. This is very silvery, very pretty. I like it. It would look actually really pretty like that too, right? But I'm just going to add a little bit. So I'm just going to take the monomer and I'm just going to soak a little bit of the tinfoil. I'm going to just pick up little bits of Mylar. I don't want a ton. Don't use a ton of this, in my opinion. You can do what you want. We're all just creating a whole new thing here, so you just to your taste, right? And I'm just going to pop some on the sides. So I just put a little bit of Mylar. You don't have to put a ton. It's just enough to get a little bit of a glimmer in the pockets of the angles of the aluminum or the tin foil. Just sort of to catch the light, to sort of catch your eye, that's all. Okay, I think that's probably enough. That's very pretty. Not much. There wasn't much in there at all. I mean, this stuff, you get a lot of mileage out of this stuff. Okay, and now it's ready. We're just going to clear cap the whole thing to make sure that all the Mylar and the aluminum tin foil stays right in there. I'm going to clean my brush. I really don't want to get any of the Mylar on the outside because I really want to make it look like you're looking right through to the tin foil. Okay, so I'm going to get a big bead. Going to throw it on top of this. Look at that lovely bead. Let me just move my dish. It's in me way. And I am just going to walk this down me Nile. And I just want to cover and shape the whole nail. This is going to be the final part of the nail, the final sculpt of the nail. And I just want to get rid of that Mylar off there. I don't want that in there on the top. That should buff out. Just gonna get myself another bead. It's for the very end. I'm going to take it, even though I'm going to chop off the end a little bit when I sculpt it with the file, but I'm just going to cover it just in case, just to make sure I have it all. Like I say, I always rather go a little bit longer than to be caught a little bit shorter, especially when you're doing a design like this. The goal is to encase the aluminum foil completely. Very pretty.
Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm. And that's not even with the top coat on it yet.
I'm starting to get inspired.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
This kind of reminds me of a spacesuit. I like to watch a sci-fi tonight.
Oh. Oh my, you got inspired for a movie? I'm like thinking, what is he inspired to do for like nails?
Well, we'll see.
I'm going to do the cuticles now because there is a bit of a gap here. Just going to fill in that cuticle, make sure my cuticle's nice and happy. Just blend that right in. Now the trouble spots you may have with this is particularly the sides, and that's very common for any nail that you're building that comes into structure. Any nail that you're building like this, you always just want to make sure that your join areas here are happy because those are the structure part if you're looking at long time wear. So I'm just going to pay attention to this and make sure that I've nailed it. Pardon the pun. And I'm going to put a little bit of product in there and just make sure it is happy, meaning I need to make sure that that structure is going to be solid and not disappoint in any way, especially when you're talking long nails like this. And I'm just going to reinforce that other side. Not a big bead, just a little bead you need in there. I mean, it probably didn't need it at all, but I'm not one for breaking out product after I've already put it away. Once I put it away, I'm over it.
When you're done, you're done.
Yeah, I don't like to go back. If I'm going to do the job, I want to do it here and now. Make sure you're always wearing your mask when you're filing. In this case in particular, you want to make sure you're wearing your mask because you don't want to breathe any of that aluminum dust. Still looks a bit low. Okay, you want to go over it with a nice smoothing file. This in particular, if you're interested, this is my sanding sponge. And I love this one because it's spongy and it goes all the way around, surrounds the nail as you go back and forth, which we're going to do next. Okay, now we're going to finish these up. So like the icing on the cake. I'm going to take this beautiful, soft pastel green, very complementing to the aluminum foil. I don't want to load up the brush because you can't really polish it where you can stop. You have to put it on, feather it off. Like what I'm saying is if I just want it in this area, I can't just polish it into that area. It just is too streaky. You kind of try to finish it off by doing this. It doesn't work. It's just terrible. So you kind of have to feather it away like that. That's just the first coat. So it's like you're polishing a super, super short nail. And you can just, go to your own taste how far you want to go up. I don't like it too short because it makes the nail plate look stubby. I think that's just how my mind works, so to each his own. And then you want to take a little brush or any brush that you're comfortable with and dip in alcohol, and you're going to remove where you don't want. That's the best way to do it. And just take away a sharp edge to what you don't want.
That was a good way to do it.
It is, and then you just nuke it after.
Yeah, otherwise you have to put down tape or something to mask it off, right?
You could, but then there's a residue on the tape, and that might not affect what you're going to do. And it might, but I just don't like to deal with the tape. Okay, so that wasn't, you can see that that's still not perfect, but with the second coat I can get that again. So I'm just going to grab the pinky. So you can see how far the silver has come down. So I could do it to that point, but I don't like the look of just a little tiny space there. So I am going to go beyond where the tinfoil landed. I like it a little bit more up there. I like it to sort of be even with the end of my finger. That's where I will end off the green. And I will double check that with these ones. I guess that one's a little bit shy of that. That's not too bad. Just sharpening up that edge. Now I'm going to put a striping tape on there, so it doesn't matter if it's not super, super sharp, because I am going to put a striping tape on there. So once you figure you've got it where you want it, sort of just get a good look at it and see if that's where you want it. I think this is a little bit crooked here. Oh, that's really crooked now. Okay, so then just take a good, I think that's good enough. My second coat will catch Ernie. And then just put it under the light, like this cute little mini light. It's a baby version of the bigger Kiara skylights. I think it's adorable. I love anything mini version. Okay, so I'm just gonna give that a nuke. Okay, and now I'm gonna just do my second coat. And sometimes, depending on the color you're using and the intensity that you want, you may need 3. Just depends on particularly your personal taste, what you're going for. And I'm just going to quickly do a little cleanup. Okay, now we're going to decorate. Now, I will be honest with you, I love the look of a striping tape. I am going to use it today because it's going to finish off this look beautifully. It is a little more difficult to put on when you are doing yourself. So the tips that I have learned is when you are cutting it, cut it a little shy of the edge that you're wrapping it around. So if you're doing it lengthwise, don't wrap it around the end because it just will not stay at that bend. Cut it a little bit shy of that. So in this case, if I can sort of show you, so if you can see where I'm laying it in and I'm sort of pressing it as I go, the edge, you could say, you know, you could do it a little bit like this and then tuck a little bit. That's an exaggeration, but tuck it a bit of around, right? It doesn't like it. So just cut it a little bit shy before it wraps under. So I will do that on this side too. I just cut it a little shy of that edge. Oh, that one could be a little shyer. There we go. And then press it down and try to get it to hold. So when you top coat it, whether you're using nail polish or gel polish, it's called Polish Secure when you're using nail polish in particular. But when you put gel polish, it'll help hold it hopefully a little bit more. But just look at it. It's absolutely beautiful.
It looks cool.
Oh, it's such a finished, it's so classy, kind of like really sophisticated looking. And when we top coat, it's going to be even prettier. So that is now ready, and now we just have to top coat. I think I can't resist though putting some gems, but I'm going to top coat it first. Whoa. Look at that, eh? Isn't that gorgeous? See the difference? It just brings it to life. Hope the camera can catch that.
Oh, it looks really
to the naked eye. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so nice. When you turn your hand, there's lots of sparkles.
Oh my goodness, in real life, this is gorgeous. I hope the camera can pick up the depth.
I think it can.
If you try this, you'll see this, you guys. The depth is amazing. Oh, it's so pretty. These are so pretty, but I do feel like one finger needs to be blinged out. So I'm just going to have a little fun and do that. that's good enough. We don't need to overdo it. And I think we can check out those reveals now. With a little imagination, it's interesting the things you can create out of things from your kitchen. If you're interested in bling, I have a great bling video with Cardi B's nail technician. Lots of bling. Check it out.